Hi, you're watching Hindustan Times, and I'm Aditi Prasad. And the annual migration of birds across the Indian continent is perhaps one of nature's biggest spectacles. Over 4,000 species congregate across the subcontinent of various shapes, various sizes, and very eclectic colors. And each of them have their own peculiar. Okay, so Madhumita, you I think played. There was a playback of my voice I saw on screen. I heard on screen. Did you, Madhumita? You have to switch off whatever is on your side. Do you have
No,
a video of
everything
me?
is with them.
Do you have a video of me playing somewhere? The video of the show
No,
playing somewhere.
no, nothing is there.
Okay. Okay, I think we've been able to resolve it. There was a technical issue this side. All right. So there are shapes, various colors. These birds come every year, and guess what? We are in the middle of the migratory season. There are birds of all shapes and sizes and colors across flying across the skies in the Indian subcontinent. Where can you see these birds? Why do they migrate? um, why, what you can learn from this migratory patterns. To tell us about all this and more, we have with us Madhumita Panigrahi, scientist at the Bombay Natural History Society. Madhumita, welcome to the show. Where can we see these birds? Because they sound so fascinating. Sorry, I'm not much of a bird watcher myself, but since this conversation was planned, I looked up and I saw some beautiful pictures and beautiful videos of some of these birds.
Well, migratory birds can be found anywhere, even in a small patch of garden or a small patch of forest or near to a wetland near you. Uh, if there is a bird, there is some kind of migration. So it's all near you what is happening. And I'll show you more as we progress with the presentation.
Okay, you'll show me more. You have viewers. We have Madhumita has an entire presentation prepared for us. I'm going to dive right into that. I would say that let's just get into that presentation, Madhumita. I think because everyone is looking forward to what you have to share with us about these migratory birds.
Thank you, Aditi. Uh, so, wherever birds there is migration, you don't have to go very far from your home. Just nearby any green patch, any wetland body which you have, a dam, a lake, uh, or a nearby forest patch, you will see migration. Currently, we are in end of November. In some states of India, the migration have already started as early as August or July end, where the birds have started coming from the Palearctic region of the world. What is Palearctic? Palearctic is let's if you imagine the map of the world, a Palearctic region will be somewhere above China, Russia, and the parts of Central Asia, which is near to Arctic, just down the Arctic, and you say it as Palearctic region. So in India, we receive birds from mostly from Russia, China, Mongolia, and other Central Asian countries like Kazakhstan. We also have birds from Europe. We also get birds from some parts of Africa. So we get birds all around the world. Today, although we are going to just understand that exactly what is migration. The birds which you are seeing in the photographs are crab plovers. You will find them extraordinary looking, very beautiful birds they are. Uh, these the photo have been taken somewhere in Jamnagar in the state of Gujarat. These birds are coming from parts of Iran. Why I know that they are coming from parts of Iran is because we are following them in the sense we do studies in which we understand their pattern of migration, and we know that those birds are coming from Iran, probably from Oman, and they go further down to the parts of Sri Lanka, even crossing through the coastal areas of India, the western coastal areas of India. So going on, I'm just trying. Okay. Uh, so as I was saying earlier, that it is around you. So if we can play the first call of the bird, it's a greenish warbler. Uh, you'll be able to hear this bird in the month of as early as September. In some parts, if you are let's say in the northern states in Delhi, in so those parts, you will hear it much sooner, probably in early August. When if you are somewhere in Coimbatore, you will start hearing them in September. So they are coming through a passage. They are coming somewhere from Europe. They are just coming down from a very long passage. I'll just show you a video later that what is the migratory path. The other bird which you are hearing is common tailor bird. So common tailor bird, if you hear the call, if it's very lively call, very chatty. So this is something which we hear regularly. But a greenish warbler call, which was the earlier played one, is something very mellow. So this is how you differentiate. This is how people also see the seasonal changes among the bird community. The one bird which is coming from very far. So I'll just okay. Uh, so this is how about this greenish warbler is. It's a very small bird. It's just 6 to 9 grams. Just imagine this bird coming all the way from Europe, and imagine it is coming from crossing various boundaries and coming to India.
And this
It is
tiny
going
little
down right.
thing, tiny little thing, right?
Yes,
Imagine flying so many
yes,
kilometers and kilometers, thousands of kilometers.
thousands of kilometers. So if we have to take a journey, I think most of us know now that there used to be a bus from London to Kolkata,
Right.
which was a very long route. Imagine
Yeah.
crossing those many countries and how many stopovers you will be having, because of course it will take a long route. Same way, these birds are stopping in many places before coming. Those places will be an abundance of food where they can refuel. So imagine us maybe going from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. So in between, you will stop for to fill petrol or have some food. The same way these birds also stop in many places to have some food and all. But it is not case with all the birds that they stop. There are some birds who fly continuously, so we will see more examples coming in.
All right.
Uh, do we knew about migration before? Now, of course, we have a lot of scientific backing to this, but of course, in many of our historical knowledge, we see there are mentions of migration in some way or the other. So, for example, in Vishnu Purana and in Raghuvansh, so you will see mentions of geese, which they are fondly called as Kadamba, and they are crossing over the Mansarovar Lake and landing in the foothills of the Himalayas. That is have been described by many of the rishis before that. That is what they. So this is something they can account for a seasonal change. They know when the bird is coming down, and many of the other shastras where people have noted there is something going on, a change as the season progresses. So this is nothing new, as in somebody woke up in the 19th century and saw that there is migration. People have been noting it for a very long time. So how there are many kinds of bird migration. It's not only from north to south. So in this map you can see there are this ice caps in both the ends, both the Arctic and the Antarctic. So mostly migration happens when we say migration, we are studying bird migration. Mostly migration happens north to south is what we are popularly knowing, but there are many migrations that happen west to east. It will be altitudinal, let's say from a mountain top to the foothills. They will a mountain top. Let's say if there is a lot of snowfall, and it will be within few days the birds will be down to the foothills. Or probably let's say if the bird is from Sikkim, the bird may come to Bihar in another few days because there will be the mountain tops will be very cold, and there will be nomadic. It's somewhat same with what human migration is like. You search for resources, you search for food, and you just migrate and then come back to your original place and then do the thing again. So there are very different kind of migrations. I will try to explain it with very different examples. So why do birds migrate? It's as simple as maximizing resource use. uh, uh, for the simple reason, for if we give an example of north to south migration, let's say in Russia, in the month of uh, July and July to September, around these months, after July onwards, there will be change in the weather. It will be colder. The resources will be meager. So then these birds have there are certain hormones which get activated to tell them now it's time to move to a warmer place with abundant food resources. How do you do that? Is that your body is telling that now you have to gain weight, now you have to put on weight, and you have to travel for this journey. And then the bird goes through a lot of changes in the body, having new feathers, getting prepared. So what happens is this enable them to use resources in both part of the globe, in Russia as well as in India, for example. Best nesting location. India may not be a best nesting location when it comes to many birds, because just imagine the hot summers we have in the tropical region. It would be very nice in a colder region, let's say around like 18 degree or 20 degree or maybe below then temperatures, where they can nest perfectly. They can merge with the environment and have some safety from the predators. So these are some of the reasons why birds migrate. Mostly it is in search of better food, and then they go back in search of better nesting ground. Of course, they avoid competition while they do that. Now, this photo is of great pelican. These are also birds which are coming in various parts of Central Asia. These are huge. These are huge birds, uh, and very interesting to see. You will see the pouch which is there. It's famous because of the pouch which they had and how they eat the fish. So, how do birds migrate? uh, there are some theories how this bird migrates. Some of the theories are not resolved. Some of the theories are resolved. So as we navigate, they also navigate. They also understand star, uh, and they also understand sun. There are certain birds which only migrate during nighttime. They understand the sun. They understand the constellations, not exactly as we do, but they understand that which direction to follow so that they can reach their destination. There are other birds, or many birds, who have odor or who can follow odor map. What is odor map? They can smell the area they go uh, in search of resources. There are magnetic compass. For us, it will be magnetic compass. For them, they can follow the magnetic forces of the earth. So they have one content, a little bit of iron content behind their eye. They have sense of smell. These kind of characters which are there in a bird, which allows them to follow these kind of strategy for migration. So for say example, the greenish warbler which we have seen earlier will migrate mostly in the daytime. Uh, because it's more it's a bird which eats a lot of insects in near to the shrubs, or on the ground or on the leaf, mostly leaf. It's called a leaf warbler, and on the leaves and all. So it needs light to have that kind of food. So it prefers to travel at in the morning hours or in the daytime. There are some other birds like geese or cranes or some other birds who prefer certain part of the night to travel. For example, there are birds who may have to cross desert like Sahara. If they have to cross a desert like Sahara, they cannot do it at the morning hot sun. So they will do it at night when it is cold, the predators are less, and it will be very safe for them to travel. So it all depends which geographical location you are crossing and what kind of resource you are using while you are migrating. I'm going to give you some of the examples of these birds. Uh, if you had understood that what in general migration is. So, for example, bar-headed goose, which we have spoken earlier also, these birds are built for extremes. Their body is built to go through, for example, over the mountains, over the Himalayas. Their hemoglobin is somewhat different than our hemoglobin. Their hemoglobin is in a way functional that they can carry. They are able to function with lower oxygen. So when they cross over the Himalayas, not exactly they cross over the Himalayas, but they cross near to the Himalayas. When they cross it, of course, the oxygen is very less. Their wings are very strong. These birds are very strong. They can fly crosswinds. What is crosswinds? The crosswinds is something like when you are flying, the wind is coming in front of you. So it is very difficult for you to maneuver. For these birds are extremely powerful birds, and they can fly that high and in a force. and they don't require that much of tailwind to fly. So if you ask a pilot about crosswind and tailwind, they will tell you tailwinds are very good for us to, for a smooth flight, so that we can maneuver nicely. There is less force in the air. Same for this bird, but they don't mind if there is a crosswind. Their goal is to cross Himalayas and come towards India. So about this bird particularly, most of the population in the world comes down to India during winters. So if you see in the map, you can see mostly the birds are nesting in Mongolia, and then they come down via China and enter to India. They go all down, right? They go down to south and various parts of India. They do winter. Winter means they are coming to spend their winters, which is winters for us also, and for them it will be mostly summers. But anyway, we say it's winter. So during that time, these birds nest in parts of Mongolia and in parts of Tibetan Plateau, very close to the border, very very close to the Indian borders. And there are parts in India, in Leh Ladakh, where these birds are nesting. So they prefer very grassy areas to lay their eggs. And particularly this geese is not this geese, but in the duck family. Uh, After their nesting is successful and all is going on and all, so they lose a lot of feathers. Most of their feathers, they are flightless for some time, and they renew all their feathers so that they can take up this big migration again. There have been satellite studies for these birds, and we have understood a lot about this particular species and how important it is for India, particularly as this is a very important wintering ground for these birds. Uh, Another bird is bar-tailed godwit. Sorry, I think the picture is behind this image. I'm not able to show. Probably, yeah. Okay. So this here you can see it's bar-tailed godwit. Uh, in the map, you'll see that this is a bird which have set records of its own. It have been breaking records for a very long time in the bird world and particularly in the migration world. So it's the longest non-stop flight of any migrant which have been recorded. So this bird also comes to India, but the subspecies is different. What is subspecies is the species which is coming to India is coming mostly from parts of Russia. But the species which I'm talking right now, the subspecies which I'm talking right now, it comes from Alaska and goes down to Australia. So these birds travel very far. It is traveling somewhere like it's crossing. You can see the Pacific Ocean. It's going to New Zealand from Alaska. It is coming down to New Zealand, so it is crossing uh, Pacific Ocean. It's a very large ocean. It's not stopping. Now, if you see the feet of this bird, you can see that it's just see the feet. It cannot swim in the ocean. It has to have a surface to sit and feed. And this particular bird which is crossing over this ocean cannot stop anywhere. There is no land, so it have to get that body fat. So for migrants, it is very important to gain this body fat. What happens in this case is the bird will develop. For example, if the bird is around 50 grams, the bird may develop double the amount of the fat to complete this journey. By the time the bird is reaching New Zealand, most of the fat will be just gone. And the first thing which it will do after reaching New Zealand is to eat voraciously. That is another reason why we need to save all these uh, areas where they feed, because the birds, when are arriving to their final destination, needs to feed. They are coming from very far. They might not have stopped, or in case they have stopped, if the habitat have not been found, there won't be any food for them to eat. Very very important why when we talk about birds, a holistic conservation is needed. We cannot only conserve in India and just forget about the other parts of the world. When we talk about migration, we have to talk without any boundary. There is no boundaries in migration. We have to talk it as a whole to save them. Now, coming to this photograph, uh, I study migration through ringing and flagging. So what I have done is, here you can see I have put some plastic bands that is saying J11. So you can see the bird which is in my hand right now. It's looking very brown. It's not very nice looking bird. But and this photo have been taken somewhere in December. Now the photo, the one which you are seeing, which the birds is looking very rufous and very colorful, this have been taken in the month of April. So why the bird is looking so different is the bird, when now in December when I have ringed the bird is it's just a time for it to rest and feed and enjoy the winters in the city of Jamnagar in the coastal belt. In the month of April, however, it is getting ready to go back to the parts of Russia where it have come from, and it is donning the breeding plumage. So you see a wonderful plumage which is coming on the bird. When can you see this plumage in India? Is if you go as early, if you, for example, in Gujarat, if you go as early as August end, or sometime in even in like first week of October, you will be able to see some of the wonderful plumages which these birds have. So this is a breeding plumage. For example, it's a breeding. It's a nice dress for them to attract the mate, and they're just getting ready for the breeding season or the nesting season in Russia. So right now, these birds for when if you go right now in some of the parts, even in most parts of in India, if you go, you won't see this birds in this color. You will see mostly brownish. You will not find them interesting. The most interesting part is they are coming very far and they have very interesting travel journey. Uh, Again, the photo is not visible. So this is an Arctic tern. There's a bird. If you are familiar with any terns, it just looked somewhat similar. Uh, why it is a record setter again is it's enjoy both part of the world. So for example, for this bird is enjoying both uh, uh, the North Pole as well as the South Pole. It's actually traveling. If you can see the photograph here, the map here, it is traveling from one pole to another. If we calculate the whole distance of travel of this particular bird, it is also called as moon bird. Why it is called moon bird is because the amount of traveling which it is doing in not in a lifetime, but probably three times in a migration trip is the total distance which one would take to travel to the moon and back to Earth. That is the distance this bird is traveling. So the images which you are seeing are the birds which have been satellite tagged by researchers uh, in in the Antarctic region. So they have come down. So they have placed these birds with geolocators. It's kind of very small tracking instrument, and these birds you can see they have spread across. They are taking different routes, and in the first in the yellow mark which you are seeing this bird. So what is happening? You can see a cluster of markings. So there they are finding the food resources. This bird will stop in various places. They will find very any kind of flotation device or anything. They can just sit there, have their fish, and then just fly off. So this you won't see in India. You have to go to other country to see it. But anyway, it's very interesting bird to see. Another bird which we actually see in India is Amur falcon. You must have heard, whoever is the bird enthusiast must have heard about this bird. Amur falcons are why we are very much known in India, and sort of people are getting crazy about these birds. So this particular photograph has been taken in Pune. I think it's 2 years back. So there was the bird landed in Lonavala. There were like just like one or two birds, and photographers were going crazy to take these photos because Lonavala was something new for this bird to cross. So, for example, now you can see in this map the bird is coming somewhere from Mongolia, and it is going through China, entering India to the from the northeastern states, Nagaland, Manipur, and then crossing all to the central part, even to the Maharashtra and all, and then going to Africa. So now, what this bird is doing is you will tell how it is flying. It must be stopping in many places. It does stop in many places, especially in places like Nagaland and Manipur. You will see lakhs of these birds landing. It is something a sight to look on how these birds come in in very large flocks. So the local NGOs there have devised many of community conservation initiatives in which they are trying to save these birds from local hunting practices. Now, this bird, why it is interesting is this birds you can see it is not exactly a north to south migration. It's mostly like east to west or west to east migration at what is happening. So this bird is following a flock of, not a flock of, but it's following insect migration. So on the way, how there's particular insect which travels, takes a very long route. It's called wandering glider. It's kind of a dragonfly. So it's for this bird, that's the kind of food which they are eating, and they are sort of flying with these insects. So of course they eat it. So that is how they survive all this long journey. So in many places, for example, in Mumbai, there will be bird watchers who will be reporting, like we saw, like six Amur falcon, and they will be just sitting in high rise or any part of the city in Mumbai, and they will see all these birds. So it's not, you don't have to actually go very far if you know the correct time when to see this bird, when the bird is passing. There are, I spoke about very long term migration. There are these migrations which are very short migrations also. So for example, now you here see this blue fronted redstart. We have tagged this bird somewhere in Sikkim. So these kind of birds, they just come down from the part of Himalayas, just below, probably like not even 100 kilometers or some, not that far. If there is snow, sudden snow in the mountains, they'll just come down uh, until the temperature is right. So for example, for this bird, you can see in the background, it's this is in high altitude place in Sikkim. In the background you will not see any snow. That particular day there was no snow. It was very cold, of course, but there was no snow. But then the second and third day there was snow, and the whole area where we did the ringing, there was absolutely no birds. They just came down. When you came down where there was no snow, you will really find these birds. So migration can be very small also. A bird which can travel maybe few kilometers, let's say 20 to 30 kilometers, just to have food every day, is also considered a sort of migration. Uh, so you don't have to, again I'm repeating that you don't have to go very far to see migration. If you just go around any place near you, even if I'm saying I don't live in a very green place in Mumbai, but recently I have seen many warblers in a very small patch of garden which our colony have. I'm just giving few examples here. So if you are having any sort of green patches or any small lake area, especially in the month of October. November is also good time where you can go and see whether you are able to mark these birds. So some of these birds are very easy for us, for the people who are just beginning to beginners as bird watchers. So I'll just tell a little bit about all these birds. So blithreed warblers, again, which is coming from very different directions from Central Asian countries. Indian golden oriole is also something which is migrating within India, but also there are certain birds which we have seen are going towards, let's say, Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan and all those areas. Jacobin's cuckoo is something. It is in our it's an historical knowledge. These are known as chatak. These birds are, and they are known to follow the clouds. For example, in Odisha, where my home is, uh, if I hear this bird somewhere near my home, if I and I'm a birder who hears more rather than see more. So if I hear a bird, then I'm quite sure within 2 3 days rains is going to come, and mostly it have been the case. These birds sort of follow the rains is what we believe. Of course, there are signs to it. Then there is marsh sandpiper, there are northern pintail, Indian pitta. All these birds are not very far from you. You just have to find any nearby place. Probably take help of a bird watcher. Go to eBird and find the nearest place where you can see this bird. Thank you.
So very, very fascinating, Madhumita. In fact, you've shared so much with our viewers about the migratory patterns of birds and what kinds of birds you can see and where you can go to see them. But so I want to ask you a question about your interest in birds. How did that happen? Hello, can you hear me, Madhumita? Madhumita, can you hear me? Okay, clearly not. We seem to have lost Madhumita there, frozen. But I'm glad that this freezing happened after she was able to put out all her points. Hi, Madhumita, you're back.
Hi, sorry. I joined from my laptop. I don't know what happened. So,
Okay. All right. So just tell people a little bit, tell our viewers who are watching us a little bit about what exactly prompted you to get into bird watching.
uh, I think as it all happened as a child. I think I was not a very easy child to handle, and my grandmother used to take me around. Grandmother used to food plate in a hand, and then she will just show me a lot of birds. She'll name Odia names for me, and I think it all started from there. But I knew early on that I am into birds. That's why I chose probably all my studies also, which was related to birds. Birds are, I think birds are quite easy. If now working for this many years, I find birds, and I see other taxas, birds are somewhat quite easy, and it's very you don't have to go to, you don't have to climb mountains to see a species like bird or some birds. It's very easy to see them. It's you are very happy to observe them. uh, they are very, I don't know, it's very difficult to explain that how did I. But now the thing is, it's the whole thing have transformed into a very scientific approach. Earlier it was an interest, now it is somewhat like questions what is going on and all. Sorry, not able to explain why.
Got it. But that sort of sums up the what I understood was that you're just interested in birds right from when you were a small child, so to speak. But apart from that, I mean, you talked about a lot of, one of the questions that one of the viewers has been asking, has put it out to you, is that given you've talked about birds migrating and that there are seasonal and it starts mostly peaks in October for various birds, November, December, all the way through Feb. But what about the impact of climate change? Does that sort of, is that changing the um, pattern for birds to migrate? Madhumita,
Sorry.
can
Yes, yes. Uh, Climate change is, of course, changing the pattern how we see the migration. Uh, in the Indian scenario, of course, we are not we are seeing some of the cases, but if we uh, see a lot of studies which are from parts of the places where they nest, we see what is happening is they are not able to sync with the changing temperature. So, for example, what is happening when the bird is going back from India somewhere to Mongolia, the season have already changed. The worms which come out during particular time have already come out and have die off. So by the time they go there, they are missing the major chunk of food which was needed for them. So they are not able to fed their nestlings or their child. Oh, sorry, so their nestlings. So what happens is the success rate of the next generation also goes down. In the same way, this is, I'm only telling in the part of how temperature is messing with them. So for example, if the snowfall is not happening in the right time, it is not syncing with what is going on in their body. If the temperature is not falling, if the particular, because the temperature is now so varied, if the rain is not for example, there are rains in the month of migratory season when it's not supposed to rain. When they come down, there might not be any place for them, the way they look into, the way they feed it. So climate change do have an impact, but it is in that level which we have to understand through lot of studies that how exactly it is. But currently, yes, we can see there have been some changes. uh, like if we see many birds which they used to come earlier have now sort of change, they are arriving little bit later than what they should have. So yeah, these kind of examples are happening. Apart from the climate change part, mostly why it is becoming very difficult for migratory birds is we are losing lot of habitat. For now, in this video, what you are seeing right now is is these are shore birds. These are long distance migratory birds. They are coming from very far sense, from parts of far past of Russia and China and Central Asia. So these birds, now what is happening in this video is, the sea is rising up, and they are searching for grounds where they can rest. Uh, this is a phenomena which happens in the coast of many coast of the Gujarat and other western coast in the India. So you can see the sea level here. So what happens is, during low tide, the whole sea, when it goes back, it exposes a huge mudflat area. This mudflat area is where these birds are coming to feed on. Now what is happening is, it's a high tide area, it's a high tide time, and the water is coming towards the shore. So these birds are now searching for grounds where to sit. So this is a
Okay.
common phenomena, what is happening. But when you are seeing the birds, let's say, traveling from very far, and suddenly this particular land is not there for them, which they have been used for generations to come, so they don't know what to do next. For example, there are a lot of constructions which is happening, and they are not able to sort of follow which direction to go, because the landscape which they have been seeing for many years have now been changed. So they face more of that issue than climate change as of now. Of course, all
going
are.
forward going forward that might change, but right now it's primarily loss of habitat that you're
Yes.
saying is what is concerning them. Also, in terms of so individuals, how can they sort of, people like me, I'm, I'm interested in birds, I don't know much about birds, but I want them to be conserved, save the planet, that sort of a thing, conserve our environment, and they're very important for our ecology, birds. So how do individuals contribute to that effort?
You can individually, there is a lot to do, I think. Yes, for greater change, of course, we need government support and policies, and a lot in that way. But as individuals, I think the majority, which I as a researcher will ask individuals, is to sort of help the researchers to understand what is going on. In the way, for example, we do conduct research in which we need a lot of inputs from regular citizens or people who can tell us, like, just as simple as monitoring the birds uh, according to the season. So that help us researchers to understand. About having individual contribution, I will say that a simple monitoring will be more than enough. And because if you as a citizen, if you say that you want to uh, resolve issues like climate change or government policies and all, that's a far cause, of course. It is beyond us. So yeah, monitoring of birds will be a greater part, what you can help us to understand what is happening with these birds.
Are there any special tools, etc., that ornithologists like you use to study the birds migration?
Yes, there are very different tools which we use. Uh, right now, like what we do at BNHS is we do ring them. There are particular aluminium alloy bands which we place, which I showed in the photographs also. We use certain type of color tags to monitor. So these are not having any kind of satellite or any kind of tracking devices. So when I'm putting it, if for example, if I put a bird, let's say somewhere in Madhya Pradesh, and it is going all the way to Delhi, so any bird watcher who is telling me that we have seen this particular tag and this number and all, and they're informing, so we are able to understand where the bird is going. So that is one kind of study. Apart from that, there are many kind of devices, tracking devices, which can be incorporated. So this one of the like, there are few researchers in parts of Kazakhstan who deployed a tracker, in particular eagle, and it is a tracker which sends you SMS where the bird location is to the nearest tower. So they have deployed this sim, but the bird took international roaming. So they thought, they didn't think that the bird will go internationally so far. So the bird went so far that they started getting international roaming charges. So the whole project, sort of that whole project budget was, it went far, so that they couldn't continue the work. So that kind of devices are also available for us to monitor these bird movements. There are satellite tracking devices, there are geolocators, there are some nanotechnology devices. Apart from that, we can get a lot of information from the feathers. There are analysis which we do, which when we collect certain uh, uh, like textures of feathers, soil samples from the feathers, you can analyze it and see, connect the dots that where the birds would come. Well, there are various methods, of course.
All
All
right.
are very costly.
Wonderful. No, no. I mean, and who are to my viewers, I would encourage them to look up in the skies, because this is the season that thousands of migratory birds are brightening up the skies of the subcontinent. Uh, Maybe you won't spot them in a Delhi or a Mumbai, but just turn around the corner, travel a little, and catch some of these beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous creatures who are brightening the skies of the Indian subcontinent in the season. But thank you so much, Madhumita, for sharing those thoughts with us and sharing all those details with our viewers about the migratory birds that are flying above us even as we speak. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.